Welcome back, guys, gals, ghouls, and everything in between. We are the Sedona Psychics. This is our fifth episode, and this is going to be about your inner temple. I'm MA.
And I'm Relic.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we're also going to be touching a little bit on spiritual hygiene and how to keep that energy clear and balanced so you can work inside your inner spiritual temple.
Yes, because you got to stay clean, guys. Got to stay clean. Anyways, so again, this is going to be kind of diving into creating your inner temple. This is going to be where you are going to meet your spirit guides, animal guides, deities, gods, goddesses, angels, whatever it is that you work with during your spiritual practice. So, Relic, give me your take a little bit about what you think an inner temple is.
So, inner temple, I think this is an idea that's really been around for a long time. It's been called different things in different cultures. I think this goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and indigenous shamanic practices around the world. But it's been called different things. I think in Egypt, it was called the inner sanctuary, and in Egypt, I believe, or Greece, I think they called it more like the inner divine hall. But the idea is this is a space that you can go into, you're in control of. It's a space that you can go in for rest, rejuvenation. It's a space you can go into kind of to tap into your own gifts or connect with your own guides. So there's a lot that can be done in this space. I think Golden Dawn wrote a lot about this in like early 1900s. They called it the astral temple. But I think for today, we'll call it the inner temple, just for sake of using terminology that people are most familiar with. But yeah, I think a really great tool for, inner work.
Awesome. And Jeffrey, what's your take on this?
So, one of the things about working with that inner spiritual temple is like, for me, it's definitely something that is an ongoing process. It's not something you ever really kind of finish making or working or creating on, but it's definitely one of those things like that when you start it, it starts off very simple. Like I started off with a rock and a field and basically built my temple around that. Kind of in that it was how I built that came out of the needs for what I was working on. And it's just in that it's one of these things, it's again, it's a process, it takes time, but it's one of the places where a great way to think about this would be the Matrix in the first episode when Neo is like in the computer, like loading up everything before he goes off in the real world. Like Mike or Relic was saying, this is a place where you can go and like work with your spiritual gifts, bring in things to try and practice things before you take them out into the real world. So I'm definitely excited to talk about this episode and get into how you could all start building and creating your own inner spiritual temples.
Yes, yes. So exciting, guys. So exciting. I'm gonna kind of get into a little snippet of how you can create your inner temple. This is something that I do tell my regular clients and also my new clients that come in who are just starting, who are wanting to really kind of get into meditation and create that safe space for them to do so. So I'm going to be using a little kind of like guided meditation that my mom Winter created from many other things that she learned throughout her spiritual practices as well. So, hey, mom, thanks. So starting off, again, you're going to kind of be in like somewhat of a meditative state. This doesn't have to be your mind has to be quiet or anything like that because you're going to be using your imagination. You're going to be using the visuals. And I promise you, you're not crazy. You're not making this up. This is all real. This is all in your mind's eye, which is part of the spiritual practice itself. So starting off, you want to imagine a door. What does your door look like? Is it made from wood, marble, gold? Now, I want you to imagine that there is also a key on a chain around your neck. What does this key look like? This key can look like whatever you want it to look like. Only this key has access to your inner temple, and only you may enter this temple and know that you are safe. As you open the door, walk into your temple and look around. Is it empty? Does it already have stuff on the walls? Is it already being created from the deepest parts of your soul? And as you do this, Like, you can get super detailed as well. Like, how tall are the ceilings? Are there any ceilings? Is this in a forest? Is it in a castle? Where is this in your mind? Where is the space to make you feel safe as well? I also want you to keep in mind as well that as you grow on your spiritual journey, this room will also grow and change with you as well. Another thing I kind of want to touch base on is like create a space where you will be comfortable. So if you want, you can have chairs, you can have a bed, you can have pillows, whatever is going to work for you. I also, as you're doing this, I want you to call in your spirit guides, your angels, your animal guides, ancestors, deities, anything along the lines of what you're working with during your spiritual practice. I have some people tell me that they'll hear a knock on the door to let them know that they're at the door waiting. And again, only you can open this door. Nothing else can open this door except for you. You have all the power in this space. So as they come into the room, they'll sit in front of you, they'll stand in front of you and ask them questions, ask them for guidance, ask them for wisdom, ask if they have any tools or anything that they want to gift to you for your spiritual journey. Also, keep in mind, sometimes you won't even see their lips moving. Sometimes it'll be done telepathically. So you'll be hearing them, but their lips aren't moving, which is totally okay. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is whatever works best for you. Sometimes it will take a minute for your guides or whoever you're asking to come forward. So don't get upset if they're not at the door right away. That's totally okay. Remember, there's no time on the other side. They don't work on the same time construct as we do. So as they're sitting there in front of you, giving you whatever they need to give you. Once you're finished, thank them for spending the time with you in that space. Have them leave. You can also take this time to kind of cleanse your space after that or whatever works best for you. And then you're going to get up, you're going to walk out of the door, you're going to turn around, and then you're also going to lock that door um, before you leave as well. And then pretty much that's about it. So it's really cool, like how much like the possibilities are so endless with this. It's so endless. And I love how it actually grows with you as well as you're going through your spiritual path too. So, Relic, let's kind of dive into like some of the different types of entities and deities and gods and goddesses that we can get in with this on.
Yes, our guides can take many forms, all right? So I think one thing to know is it's totally okay to go into the space allowing the right guide to come to you in that moment, right? You don't necessarily have to know who you want to receive the message from. You can always go into that space with the intention that you want to allow the right guide with the right message for you in that moment of your journey. There are also times where I am called more to connect to a specific god, goddess, a certain angel. And in that situation, I think it's more appropriate to invite them in. You could name them by name before you start the process. You could do some kind of a little spoken prayer to invite them in. If you want to work with Archangel Michael, name him by name. If you want to work with, like, I work with a lot of Norse gods and goddesses. So if I want to work with Thor in that energetic space, I may leave an offering, like a nice full horn of mead or something like that, to kind of
Yeah.
invite that certain guide and energy in.
Keep it fun.
Yeah,
Keep it fun.
again, it's kind of endless, the forms that our guides can come in, right? They may be animals, they may be gods or goddesses, and it could be from all different cultures. Maybe Egyptian gods or goddesses show up. Maybe it's more Eastern culture traditions. Maybe it's Greek gods and goddesses. So I think don't try to put that in the box so much, right? Allow the right god or goddess or guide. Maybe it's extraterrestrials, right? Like I said, guides take many forms. So I think allowing them to come in as they need to, and you may have some may come in for a short period of time, work with you a few times, and they may move on because that's all they need to do. You may have others that you work with on a more regular basis. So again, I think just kind of allowing that process to unfold naturally. And I also want to reinforce, like, looking at this as a meditation. So you may want to set the stage in your physical space. Make sure you're not going to be bothered light some incense, create the right environment before you even go into this process. And then in that space, don't be afraid to really put a lot of details in. Like Inner Temple, I know not only what the table looks like that I sit at to talk with my guides, but I know what kind of wood it's made out of. I know what decorations are on the walls and what objects are around me. And so I think allowing yourself to put those details in, it can help to reinforce that you're in control of that space. Because like Emma said, this is a inner space that you are in complete control over. You have all the power. Allow them to come in, and you are allowed to escort them out, or just not even allow certain energies to come into that space. So you're in complete control. And I think sometimes really putting in all the details can help to kind of reinforce that. But definitely, as far as like what guides may show up, I mean, really, it's kind of endless, the opportunities. So
Jeff Afa, do you have anything to add on to that?
Definitely. I have a few things I think I could add on that. And I really like how we're all talking about like the more detail you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. It's very
Oh, yeah.
much like Easter Claus and Santa Bunny. The more you believe, the bigger the eggs are going to be underneath the tree and the redder the fuzzier the basket is. You guys know exactly what I meant.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's in that it's like how you talk about your table. Like I know one of my tables is made out of African cherry wood. Like I researched expensive, fancy ass wood for my spiritual table. I know what the chairs look like. I can see the carving of the chair. I have gold and platinum tacks to hold down the leather.
Get bougie with it.
Yeah, and
Get
like
bougie
look
with
stuff up that you never think you could afford ever want, like crystals and things that you want in this space. But when it definitely comes to the table, like my spiritual table in my temples, I decide who gets to sit at my table. When you start working with psychic and empathic abilities and working with certain guides, your light gets brighter. And sometimes you can attract other things that want to work with you. And they'll try and talk to me like when I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm like, now's not a good time. You need to go through spiritual security, get back to the front gate.
personal space, guys. Personal
Exactly.
space.
And sometimes like past loved ones can see that I can speak to their living ones and they try and follow me home. My spirit guards at the temple stop them from coming in. Like, no, you got to get permission first. So kind of in that, like I have gates. I also have a spiritual koi pond, several actually, in on my grounds and in my inner temple. When I look at my spiritual koi pond, I have fish in there that represent every single chakra. So one of the first things I do when I get to my temple is I walk by one of my koi ponds to see where my chakras energy is at. And if the water is murky and I can't really see the fish that well, that means my aura is not clear. Just by me going into the temple and checking out the koi pond, I can see where my energy is at.
So this is going to be more of like the spiritual hygiene aspect of that a little bit.
That's just one of the things that I have in my temple that I wanted to really bring up. But one of the things when it comes to being in your temple, this is also a great place to ask for signs from your spirit guides. Like, hey, if the right person, I'm with the right person right now, and like romantically, let me see two red-tailed hawks. Or if you need to like make like a certain decision, I know somebody who has to see a yellow Volkswagen Beetle car and saw that within 24 hours. She's like, all right, now I guess I got to do that. So you can ask for guidance in these places as well. And don't be afraid to ask your spirit guides questions. I tend to try and tell people to stay away from the W's, the what, the where's, the when's, the why's. Usually is a good way to start off, but they're there to give you guidance, to help you point you in the right direction. And another thing that Relic mentioned that I really liked is the giving an offering to your guides. Like if you're working with Metatron, who's a freaking hall monitor, by the way, you need help, I'm here to help you. Like put the cube of Metatron out so he knows he's invited into that space. But especially in Asian cultures, like outside of temples, they have special tables where you can leave offerings for your ancestors, for your spirit guides, for your past loved ones to come through. And you can definitely do that same in your temple or in your own personal space. Lastly, I would just say, I like to have an altar in my home that represents me, a connection to my spiritual temple, just to kind of like make me turn the keys on the lock a little bit faster.
Okay. So I'm also I kind of want to go back to the spiritual hygiene aspect of it a little bit.
Definitely.
So like what Relic was saying earlier, also like cleanse your space before you do this. Like sage, Palo Santo, Florida water, those types of things. Those are going to help create that cleaner, more cleansed space for you to do this. So you don't have all of these like extra energies trying to come in and screw with your flow. You know what I mean?
Another one to simply quickly clear your space is either Himalayan or selenite salt lamps. Understand, like, one of the reasons why we're having you create this space for yourself is so you can start setting boundaries. Kind of, and that's important in personal life and definitely in spiritual life as well.
Yeah, for sure. Especially working with guides and things like that, you can totally set boundaries with them. So like Jeffrey was saying earlier, you're in the bathroom on the toilet and you got so and so's grandma trying to come in and say, "Hey, I'm not on right now. My open sign's not on right now."
Yeah, definitely. I think that the inner temple is a good way to start to create those boundaries for yourself. If you feel like it's hard to get out of that ethereal headspace and do the real world things that you need to do. I got kids, I got a family. Sometimes I need to like turn the spiritual part of me off and do the laundry or help with homework or something like that. And so it's a way to kind of, yeah, like turn the open sign off to your spiritual, part of you so that you can do the grounded real world stuff you need to do and you can go back into that space when you are ready for that. I also would say, as far as like cleansing the space ahead of time, don't underestimate the power of even just blasting the space with pure white light, right? Like just envisioning the room that you're in being washed in white light of source, and that's even just that, and holding that intention that you're using that to clear the space. There's a lot of power in that, but also I think combining that with other things, smudging, all that stuff works. um
Intention is everything. Everything.
yeah, and then I would say doing that after, like after you come out of the space, you locked your temple door, you're back into your body. I would say, do a quick kind of cleanse of the space again, just to really kind of keep everything nice and tidy.
Yes, definitely. Please lock your space. It's not the spirituality of the 50s where you can leave your doors unlocked at night. Protect it. It's worth doing that. Definitely for sure.
You can't leave things unlocked anymore here.
No, I'm serious. Like, when we ever do any work, you always got to close the portals. You ever
Yeah.
seen the movie? Like, they didn't close the portal and bad stuff happened.
Right. That's
Not saying that's exactly how it is, but why mess around with that? This is something you created to protect yourself, to set those boundaries.
And keep this fun, guys. Like, this isn't something that, like, this is so serious and I gotta get it done this way and that way. No, like, you do you, boo boo. Like,
Yeah.
just create it, be in it, like, feel it, you
Like, you
know?
can even clear energy like freaking Iron Man or a superhero if you want to do that. But because if you that power of attention, like, I'm gathering bright, powerful, burning light for anything darkness, and shoot it out there. Be creative. Have fun with this. This shouldn't be work. This should be allowing you to tap into your sacral chakra energy, that artistry, that creativity for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then also too, like if you guys are interested in like diving deeper into actually creating your inner temple, a lot of us here do offer this type of service. We can do it as like a guided meditation or we can, kind of walk you through it. You could take some notes so that you can take it home and make it your own thing. So this is something that is, offered in a lot of our services here as well.
Yeah, I've also found a lot of times when I bring this up with clients, it's something they're almost already familiar with in just kind of like an inner way. Like they maybe don't use the terminology inner temple, but they had kind of some idea of creating that inner space. So if it's something that you've already practice with, I'm interested to know like what the viewers have had as an experience with kind of working in that inner space. So if you've done work in your own inner temple, definitely leave a comment, let us know. Or if there's things you would like us to kind of dig more deeper into, like I know we could do a whole episode on like just the different gods and goddesses and extraterrestrial races and elemental beings and spirit animals and all that. So if you guys are interested in maybe hearing more about that, or if there's specific gods or goddesses that you work with, feel free to let us know.
So I'm
Rose.
curious, do any of you guys have like a little story of meeting a guide in your inner temple? Like to kind of give our listeners an example on kind of how the process can go. Do any of you guys have any like a short little sample story or anything?
Yeah, I would say one of the first guides that showed up in my inner temple when I really started like going into the space with the intention to connect with my guides is I actually had a mantis being show up, like
Oh, I've
the
worked with them before.
praying
Those
mantis,
guys are
right?
cool.
And it's interesting because the praying mantis, when I had the experience with him, it wasn't really a vocal spoken thing, like you were saying. It was more telepathic.
Mhm.
Um, and literally within, I think it was like 2 days of me having that experience, because that was when I first started working here. I went next door to go clean like the little room, the like
Mhm.
the broom closet
Yeah,
room that we
broom
used to
closet.
use. And literally sitting on the door handle, like to where I could not miss him, was a praying mantis sitting there. So that
Wow.
was a really cool external confirmation that like that inner contact was valid, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's also a good example of what Jeffrey was talking about with like you can get signs, omens outside of that space that kind of reinforce the messages that come in through that way. But I would say that was one of the first like kind of intentional times that I brought a guide into that space. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Jeffafa, do you have an example?
Probably not as complicated or as in detail as that, but no. Before I moved out here from Minneapolis to Sedona, I kind of didn't. I was in denial about certain individuals in my life and how they weren't actually very good for me at all, even though they've been in my life for a very long period of time. I couldn't see like what was right in front of me, and so in my inner temple, in that deep state of meditation, my grandparents came to me along with past versions of myself that also came to me and said, these people are not good for you. You cannot trust them anymore. And literally, like, Grandpa Kermode pulled down the movie screen projector thing. I'm like, this is how this actually went down, and allowed me to see in a situation how I was being taken advantage of, which made it a lot easier for me to walk away from situations and relationships before I moved out here. So sometimes it's like a harsh dose of reality when you get into your spiritual temple. But like one of the last things I kind of really want to say about when you start this, it starts off small. You don't really notice things right away that much. Sometimes you get some big winners right off the bat, but wait, as soon as you start creating your inner temple, you're breaking an energetic dam to allow things to start flowing to you.
Oh, yeah, you're opening up to receive. Yep.
Exactly. You're
Mhm.
saying, I am ready for messaging. I am ready to be a part of the 5D, the metaphysical. And it starts off like a trickle, then it starts off like a creek, then it turns into a stream. And sometimes you get some floods that come through with that energy, but it's all about you understand and your spirit guides understand that they're not going to put anything in front of you that you cannot handle because you have created the space for it.
Right, right. And again too, like, don't forget um that this inner temple is going to grow with you. It's going to change as you evolve on your spiritual path. The decorations will change, the guides will change. So like what Relic was saying earlier, like you might only have a specific guide that stays with you for a short amount of time because that's all they meant to come in for. So things are always going to change as you are growing on your spiritual journey as well too. So I love this for I hope that a lot of people can take this and grow with it and really create their own inner temples to be able to really get themselves on a good area in their spiritual path, especially right now with how the world is going. Everybody's waking up, everybody's kind of confused. They're not kind of sure like how to go. So that's also why we're here too, is to just kind of keep things simple and to kind of like guide you guys on your path as well.
Like we've talked about how like you can start with your spiritual path, your spiritual journey and all these other things, but how you actually feel like in the physical 3D real world that we all have to live in, where after you start creating your temple, you have more confidence. You're more assured of yourself. You don't have energy vampires or like negative Nellies or David Downers that can come into your energy and like get you upset or mess with your emotions as much because you're grounded, you're solid in what you know, you have confidence, you have those boundaries set up.
And you're protecting your peace.
And people can't mess with you. And not only that, do like the negative Nellies and the David Downers stay away? The bright, beautiful, amazing butterflies that you want and the metamorphosis and change that you want can start coming to you because they can see the bright light doesn't have all the dark, shitty moths around it anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I also want to reinforce like what Emma was saying about this, allow it to be a fun process, right? Like when I go into my inner temple, it's fun. It's almost like doing an artistic project like painting or something. It can be a fun, rejuvenating space, and you can go in there just to heal, just to rest, just to relax. You can go in there just to set some energetic protection up. You can go in there just to do some renovations, just for fun, just to put a spiritual koi pond in because your buddy said it was a good idea. It's actually worked out. It's actually worked out pretty well.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're all taking each other's advice, guys.
Seriously.
Yeah, but just have fun, guys.
So again, just keep this simple, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. And I am going to kind of say something that I did hear this morning on the Tiki Talk. If I can find the person who said this, because she has a podcast as well, but she said this morning and it just totally resonated. So I do want to give her the credit where it belongs. Again, I'll try to find her podcast and kind of like put it in the description as well too. But she said, if you are sitting there overthinking, even when it comes to like things of like you're creating your inner temple, going into meditation, if you're sitting there overthinking, then that means that you ignored your intuition. And that maybe you should kind of backtrack and go back to your intuition so it can take you where it needs to take you on your path. So I just kind of wanted to end the episode on kind of that note as well too. So let us know, guys, like, what things you want us to get more into. Tell us some of maybe your inner temple experiences as well, and we can kind of share them if you'd like us to also. So don't forget to like and follow us. We're on YouTube. We're also on Spotify as well. Leave comments, give us some ideas. I mean, trust me, we got a lot of ideas for this podcast. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
never ending. So I am going to sign off here. I'm MA. Stay magical, you guys.
Yeah, just remember, guys, your guides are always waiting to talk to you. The inner temple's a great way to open that door. So just remember to lock it after, because that's the world we live in.
Lock
So,
your shit.
Say the 50s.
yeah, but stop in if you guys are in Sedona. Feel free to stop in. We're here 7 days a week, 10 to 6. Stop by just to say hi, check out all the cool crystals, or get a reading. And thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll see you next time.
And lastly, from me, I just want to say that this inner temple helps with the two paths, the spiritual path and the life path. It actually makes things easier from putting the time and the effort into it. And definitely looking forward to having some of you folks come down to the Crystal Magic Psychic Center and say, I saw your podcast episode on spiritual inner temples, and I want you guys to help me work with that. That would be absolutely awesome. I am Jeffrey. Y'all have a great day. Namaste. Love and light.